Hey guys, this is MusicTechHelpGuy, and welcome to this bonus video on mastering. A week ago, I did a video on mastering in Logic. We mastered an EDM track, an EDM pop track in Logic just using Logic plugins. Someone had asked in the comments, how do you master with third-party plugins? Is this your actual workflow for mastering? And the answer is no. When I master tracks, I don't use any Logic plugins. Whether I use Logic or Pro Tools to master is completely inconsequential because I'm using all third-party plugins and a combination of third-party plugins and hardware. So I wanted to show you guys my workflow for mastering, and it really it's the same plugins regardless of genre. I use the same 4 or 5 plugins for mastering regardless of genre. So I'm going to show you my workflow for mastering just with third-party plugins, no hardware though. Depending on the budget of the project, I will typically take the track over to a studio and master it through some nice gear, but I'm going to use some sort of alternatives to nice mastering gear. So, all right, so let me show you the plugins I use for mastering. I have the same track up here, that EDM track, Gimme All You Got, from the last video. And the plugins I use, first I use the HEQ from Waves. This one's optional. This is really just for bass management, to keep the bass under control. I'm going to just bypass these as I load them. Next up is the API 2500 from Waves. I'm a huge fan of the real hardware unit, the real API 2500. I've used it quite a bit on several records, and this is just a decent representation of the real thing. Then I like to use the Clairephonic parallel EQ from Kush. This is a great parallel EQ that just acts on the high end. Why it's not moving when I click on it, I don't know, but we'll just close that one out. Let's try that again. There we go. That was weird. Next up, I use Vitamin from Waves. Vitamin sort of takes the place of all of those. Like when we did the Logic mastering video, we had to sort of duplicate the track a couple times, split up the different bands, enhance each band a little bit differently. We used the exciter for sonic enhancement, and then we used the direction mixer to sort of spread the bands. Vitamin sort of does all of that in one plugin. It's a multi-band sonic enhancer, and it also has spread knobs in it. So this is going to come in really, really handy. And then lastly, the limiter I use is the FabFilter ProL. This is simply the cleanest, most transparent limiter I have ever used. So I love this thing. And then typically I'll stick some sort of just meter on the end here. I like to use the Waves WLS meters, but I don't have those on this computer, so I'm just going to use the PAZ meters, and this is just for the end, just so I can see what my peak and RMS levels are. So we'll come back to that as well. So let's start with just the HEQ. Let's close all these out. They're all bypassed right now. All I'm going to do with HEQ is the same thing I did in the main Logic series. I'm not going to use any of these other bands. I'm just going to use the high pass filter just to cut out the lowest of the low frequencies, just the sub-low frequencies that we're really not going to hear anyway, but through my sub, I'm hearing some kind of woofiness and boominess. I'm going to change the circuit to a more precise circuit, one of the digital circuits, there you go, with a real nice hard slope on it. And I'm going to put this, not at 20, I'm going to put it like maybe 20, let's try like 23 hertz, that sounds good. So probably won't hear much of any difference if you're working in headphones or small speakers. I can hear just a slight difference through my sub, just the sub isn't as boomy. No real need to even listen to that. So, all right, so let's turn that on. Let's go to the API 2500. Here's without it. So I really want to just sort of glue everything together with this bus compressor. Pull the threshold up a bit. When I master, I typically will use a quicker attack rather than a slower attack. I really like the old circuit. It's just a little warmer sounding. And I'll use the variable release time. I won't use any of the fixed release times. I use the variable release time. Set it somewhere in the middle. I am going to link the left and right compression, but not at 100%. I'll do 90%, just to give it a little bit of variance in the left and the right channels. I'm going to turn the analog switch off on a lot of these Waves plugins where there's an analog switch. When you turn that on, it actually introduces hiss into the signal, so we don't want that. And I'm also looking at the gain reduction meter here, so looking for somewhere between maybe 3, 4, 5 dB of reduction. Cool. Next up is the Clairephonic. Clairephonic, all we're going to do is just sort of enhance the top end frequencies, the high end. I really like to use the diffuse and open switches. Over here you can switch left or right between sheen and silk, or just pull it completely out. I'm going to try both. I'm going to switch back and forth between both of these. So I'm going to turn these down to sheen and silk. Pull the focus up knob up just a bit. Let's listen to it before and after. It's a very, very gentle lift when we do this. Let's try the silk instead. Yeah, the silk it's just slightly warmer, but again, just a very, very subtle high-end lift. Nothing super noticeable. Let's go back to the build-up. It's really noticeable here where we have those nice strings in the background. I may actually pull this down just a touch because we may enhance the high end a bit more with Vitamin. Let's pull Vitamin up here. Absolutely love Vitamin, one of my favorite plugins. You can individually control each frequency band and the harmonic sonic enhancement on each band. It's not a compressor, but it is sort of multi-band. So between the API 2500 and the Vitamin, I find myself not having to use multi-band compression and mastering when I use third-party plugins. So I actually really like that because I'm not a big fan of even using multi-band compression on most things when I don't have to. So I like to just sort of start with the sub and work my way up. The other thing we want to do is we want to make sure that our output doesn't clip. So by doing so, what we need to do is lower the level of the signal as it enters Vitamin by pulling the input level down. It's okay that if the signal is kind of quiet at this point, we're really just looking for the tone and the spread coming from this plugin, and we'll add even more compression or more limiting and more volume once we get to the ProL. All right, the other thing I like to play with are these spread knobs down here. Now, the bottom two frequencies, I just keep them at 1, which means that we're not going any more narrow or any more spread. I like to keep the bass as mono as possible. Let's listen to these mid frequencies and spread these out a bit, though. Sometimes if you have some sort of mid-range build-up, especially in rock and roll tunes, when you have like some heavy distorted guitar, sometimes the mid-range gets a little stuffy. This is a real nice way to sort of spread out the mid-range a bit and just make it not sound so stuffy. So let's see what this sounds like.
Yeah, I'm the first in line, 'cause the bottle makes it better. The bottle makes it fine. The bottle helps me say exactly what is on my mind. It's the pills that make me stronger, the drugs that make me brave. I get them from the doctor. He says take them twice a day. So if you got it, give me all you got. 'Cause that is all I want.
And lastly, in our effects chain here is just our ProL. I always like to use the transparent style. Sometimes I'll use the punchy one and dynamic ones for like on single tracks. If I actually need to sort of limit drums, I'll use punchy. Or if I'm limiting like vocals for some reason, I'll use dynamic or all around. But transparent's really nice just because it's very transparent. So, but it can get really loud without any sort of noticeable artifacts or very little noticeable artifacts. I'm gonna pull up my PAZ meter here, PAZ meter. We're gonna say detect RMS. I'm gonna be looking for this to basically be at like -10 down here.
That is all I want. 'Cause that is all I want. 'Cause that is all I want. 'Cause that is all I want.
So let's listen to this from maybe like the drop all the way through the or the build up through the drop and see what this sounds like.
So if you got it, give me all you got. Show me the money, babe, 'cause that's what I want. If you got it, give me all you got. Show me the alcohol, 'cause that's what I want. If you got it, give me all you got. Show me your loving, babe, 'cause that's what I want. If you got it, give me all you got. Show me the money, babe, 'cause that is all I want. 'Cause that is all I want. 'Cause
All right, so that's just my my mastering workflow for using third-party plugins with no hardware. I made that look very simple and very quick, but in all actuality, mastering takes a lot of time for me. There's a lot of listening involved. I'll usually take it up to a couple different studios, listen to it on different sets of monitors, listen through it, headphones, earbuds, my car. I listen to it on everything possible, go back and make minor tweaks, listen to it on all my formats again, make notes, make some more tweaks, and then keep repeating the process until I get it perfect. So this is in no way just a quick way to master, but this is just my workflow, or at least the plugins that I use in my workflow for mastering when I don't use hardware. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching.